Welcome to the Chaos Sector. I want to revisit the previous episode regarding Halloween Ends. Someone claims we can't review the film as it hasn't come out yet. I guess when you heard fans of the modern Halloween films, they can't help but voice their opinions. It's cool, I understand. But let's address one of those opinions. Someone claims our review is, quote, fake. What do you mean by fake? They state, quote, I know you haven't seen the film yet, it doesn't come out until a week from Friday. So this is a fake review, unquote. Yeah, if you are so literal with the term review. It's a review based on, get this, the plot that has been released. Technically, the film has come out because the storyline has already been published. I can literally read the core of the storyline, which is published online by the likes of IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and other websites that review films. You don't need to physically see a film such as this, because you already should have a firm knowledge of how the storyline plays out. Or at least how it should have, based on the previous events in Halloween Kills. We just went over that problem. Let's play a little game called Common Sense. If I can't have a review based on not seeing the film, can others claim Corey will be a copycat killer in the film? They haven't seen the film neither, as it hasn't come out yet, right? The same concept applies, as they are not just predicting this plot, some are actually confirming this will be the plot in their videos. Some even claim Corey is helping Myers? How can they claim this when they haven't seen the film? Where are they getting this information from, because it's definitely not within the plot published, right? I'll tell you what's going on, they are forcing a theory into existence. And there hasn't been a correction in their analysis, when we clearly see that Myers is the one engaging Laurie in the trailers. It's intellectually dishonest, knowing that Corey has only been accused of killing a child. That does not translate to Corey becoming a copycat killer, it's an accusation, simple. A horrible way to introduce a new character, but it's an accusation that has no link to Myers, or suggesting he will become a killer. It would be different if Corey was depicted as having anger issues or a troubled childhood. If they can parade that nonsense all over social media, then I can review the hell out of the film before it comes out, based on my knowledge of the franchise. Our review is based on the plot published, it's not rocket science to provide a take on how the film will play out. And furthermore, where exactly are we wrong? See, it's that type of troll-like reaction that gets to me. If you provide a logical rebuttal to our episode, stating facts, or refuting a claim based on your own genuine take, then we can appreciate your feedback. But when you just state, quote, this review is fake, it has a nasty vibe to it. I guess they don't really understand what the term review means here. It's not a review based on seeing the film, it's more of an overview of the film. Maybe it should have been called Halloween Ends Overview. But that's like tomato, yeah. Here's the review, or overview, again, so they can grasp what was, well, reviewed, or overviewed, or over the view, of the reviewed overview, in the previous episode reviewing Halloween Ends. Coincidence translates to borrowed time. This is what the plot is based on, another encounter by way of coincidental occurrences. Halloween Ends is set 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, in 2018. In 2022, Laurie and Allison are depicted as moving on with their lives. Not only is the plot based on coincidence, but that derives from the foundation of the storyline being based on a coincidental terror. The film does have a great engine under the hood, but has horrible drivers. They mash on the gas erratically, don't put on lane change signals, jump in and out of lanes, slow down frequently, and the worst of them all, sit at the light when it's green for so long, by the time they drive off, the light turns red for the following traffic behind them. In other words, the plot causes film rage. Freaking H. Is there some sort of rule that prevents me from reviewing a film I hadn't seen yet? Does that discredit what I assume to unfold in the film? And furthermore, the review is more about the entirety of the trilogy's storyline, not specifically a review of Halloween Ends. I thought that was obvious, based on the previous episode regarding the Halloween franchise. Not to sound arrogant, but I can review a film I hadn't seen yet. Get this, you can as well. Is this just a case of random trolling? Or is it sincerely how they feel? Zarin?
Doesn't matter, but I'll take a stab at it. You like what I did there? That was more clever than the entire storyline in this film. If Myers is related to Laurie Strode, her survival has a glimpse of Myers showing compassion to his younger sister. As the more he encounters her, the more he doubts his objective to kill her. He would be struggling with his conscience. To kill Laurie, the more he is reminded of family, reminded of being a human, inside that tormented soul. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm pretty sure it does. But, if Myers is not related to Laurie Strode, then he is depicted as a very aggressive, violent, unconscious, and relentless killer. And this creates inevitability, as her survival becomes more and more unrealistic based on those characteristics. With this common understanding of Halloween, I can review a Halloween Ends even before it comes out. Because I already know what the storyline has established. And that should be the least of your concerns regarding the previous episode. Haven't you been paying attention? Halloween already ended in 1995. These are basically Jamie Lee Curtis fan-made films. Whatever, they don't count. Anywho. We are not just making shit up, we are breaking down the foundation of this trilogy's storyline. And that storyline, despite all of the viral copycat theory content out here, boils down to two characters. Does this individual support the copycat theory with Corey the Babysitter Cunningham? Do you? If so, that explains it all. Let's go over our overview of the review of the view of our previous overview, reviewing the plot, which views Corey as a child killer. We will now have an overview of the review of our overview of the previous review. Okay. If Corey does become a killer, we would have seen it coming in this film, so how can he throw on a mask and become the next Myers? We know who it is, we have an actual established character as the new Myers. The original Myers was seen as a child, but that child was not developed as an actual character. Later, Laurie pulls his mask off, but once again, that individual is not a character depicted as a human. Corey, on the other hand, has already been established as a character. There is no mystery to his identity being revealed. Trying to be evil does not work, it has to be, quote, embedded in one's soul. You don't seek evil, evil seeks you. Would you pay to see a new Halloween film as Corey being the next killer when all you're doing is seeing through the mask, knowing how the killer looks? It's Corey, the babysitter, who's running around killing random characters. Well, that's packed with fear, negative, nothing to be scared of. But then again, I'm not ruling that out. They've shown how derp they are willing to get with this crap. Is that a legitimate review of Corey? If so, then why can't we have a review of the film? I know I sound like a buzzkill, and honestly, I don't want to come off that way to fans of these films. They could have worked, despite the wicked woman being the main character. All they needed was logical plot development. Once again, here we go. The 2018 film is a so-called direct sequel to the 1978 film. That's 40 years in a storyline that glossed over the oddity of Myers being dormant for 40 years. No matter what you do, the foundation of that 2018 film storyline was unrealistic. Here are the major problems of that film that only became more and more magnified as the films kept being dumped out. First, Myers is old as dirt. Laurie Strode as well. Second, they are not siblings. Third, their encounter is coincidental. There is obviously more, but those are the three main problems with the foundation of the storyline. And of course, the sequel to that film will be magnified in Halloween Kills. And lastly, presumably, Halloween Ends. Instead of attempting to correct issues with the storyline, perhaps having Myers actually target Laurie Strode, they have another coincidental encounter as the foundation of the plot. If this is slated as the last Halloween, have them slug it out as Myers hunts down Laurie Strode and her granddaughter. How can Myers not be depicted as targeting Laurie when he knowingly killed her daughter? Yeah, Myers knew that Karen was related to Laurie, and he killed her. So, if he made that conscious decision to kill someone who he previously encountered, this means he should also be hunting down the rest of that Strode trio, right? But for some reason, they would rather have Myers, quote, stumble upon Laurie Strode. Myers did not stumble upon Karen, he had to observe her from a distance of the home, then crept into the home and killed her. This is a psychological game played on the audience. Tease the older fans, in alluding to Myers targeting Laurie Strode, yet keep the modern fans interested with Myers just killing whoever is dangling in front of him. This, of course, is the infamous dummy kill strategy. There's my overview, or depending on your view, my review. I'll leave it at that. Until my view changes. Everyone is entitled to their opinions, or even criticism of our reviews. But let's not lose focus of what our reviews are presented for. As a fan of the original timeline, I feel it's necessary to critique the current Halloween films. Although I'm a part of the millennial generation, I align more with the Gen X crowd. These retcons are basically fan-made films, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. I think people don't realize this. A current Halloween fan, or someone who was born in the late 90s to the early 2000s, has their interests in the modern era of horror films. They came about right around that H2O era. There is a significant difference in how a prior generation views horror films compared to the modern generation. You can go back and watch those films, but you can't truly internalize the magic of that era. It's the same with music. The 90s was considered the best era in music to many people. While the current era does not have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, the same soul. Now let's address a few things with the final trailers that have been released. Laurie Strode of course is draped in her nostalgic outfit, we know this. But Laurie apparently will take Myers' mask off? What significance does this have if Karen already did this in the previous film? And even more so, she had already done that in the 1978 film, right? It's not like she hasn't seen his face. Laurie can identify that face in her nightmares, not just the creepy mask, right? In other words, it's like a fan-made film, because there is no new dynamic to Laurie and Myers. This type of screenwriting is what grinds my gears. It's so agitating to see the franchise be toyed with like this. Although I can't stand the Wicked Woman, Laurie Strode should have been related to Myers in these retcons. It obviously increases the intensity of her role, as Myers is determined to kill his younger sister. But now there are more relatives, in Karen and Allison, to pursue. You see how the storyline naturally increases its fear factor? Karen is killed, and now Laurie and Allison are the remaining bloodline of the Myers family tree. They have a score to settle, and they battle in the finale. Laurie is killed, as Allison becomes the final target. But she is tough, with a little help perhaps from Corey. They kill Myers in the end. If this sounds similar to what you assumed to happen in the finale, it's because the main characters need to die off, Laurie and Myers. Well, that's all she wrote. I understand if individuals are looking for the next spicy piece of news regarding the film. But we are not here for that. Our goal is to break down these films. And to be honest, this is all to educate current Halloween fans of what it should have been, instead of what it had become. If you are a Halloween fan, not just clinging to Myers as the quote, cool dummy killer, then you appreciate our analysis. That's what this is about, genuine fans voicing their opinions about where this franchise will end up. And from the looks of it, perhaps an anthology is the best way to go after ends. No Laurie Strode, no Michael Myers, just Halloween.
You know, Zarin, that's a great idea, although I get the feeling you were being sarcastic.
Sure, it's a good idea, but that requires screenwriters to actually think. They would have to come up with a plot that doesn't surround one specific killer to leech off of. And since they're lazy, it will never happen.
Have Laurie and Myers die, then recreate Halloween as an anthology series. It happened with the 1982 film, in Halloween 3, right? That film was actually pretty good, despite criticism from the fans. Nobody truly believes this will be the last Halloween. The questions people have though, is what will actually happen in the ending. We gave our prediction, which seems to be the most logical and the most anticipated. Another issue I had with this storyline is they did not give Myers any relatives. Ever thought about that? We know he killed his older sister in this storyline, but wouldn't it be interesting if he had distant relatives who could become key players in the storyline? They arrive in Haddonfield, a younger brother who has a family of his own. The younger brother, named, well, let's just call him Corey for now, is searching for his older brother in Haddonfield. He discovers Myers is his older brother through searching his family tree. With this devastating discovery, Corey keeps this a secret from his wife and daughter. Corey is not like Myers, of course. He is a hard-working family man. He tracks Myers down eventually and tells Myers he is his younger brother. Myers gives the classic head tilt before stabbing Corey in the arm. Yet, Myers sees a resemblance in Corey but is now determined to kill him and his family. So much to work with, right? See how many great ideas could have made this trilogy a decent series of films?
Oh shit, Farah, that is pretty badass to be honest.
But, we have to settle for a hamburger with no cheese. If only I had cheese, damn it. This is the Chaos Sector, film overviews.